Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, I want you to imagine the most powerful technological innovation of our lifetime. The kind of absolute breakthrough technology that's actively curing diseases, untangling massive global supply chains, and basically automating entire industries overnight. It's literally the ultimate productivity engine. Now, imagine taking the keys to that exact same technology and handing them directly to a highly organized global syndicate of cybercriminals. Well, that is exactly what's happening right now, and the implications? They are fundamentally rewriting the entire rulebook of digital security.
So, what actually happens when a transformative tool like artificial intelligence hits the mainstream? Our minds naturally jump to the good stuff, right? Smart assistants, incredible medical breakthroughs, or being able to generate 1,000 lines of code in seconds. But there's a highly motivated shadow economy out there that is adapting to this technology at a blistering pace. In fact, while massive corporations are still locked in boardrooms trying to figure out their internal AI governance policies, malicious actors are already out in the wild running fully automated, AI-driven attack pipelines.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the dual-edged AI revolution. Think back to the advent of the Internet. It brought us unprecedented global connectivity, which is amazing, but it simultaneously gave birth to global botnets. AI is following that exact same dual-use trajectory. We're basically watching a classic technology arms race unfold in real time. While the public perception is heavily focused on productivity and driving business innovation, the hidden reality is that AI is rapidly establishing itself as the foundational tool for modern cybercrime. It's an accelerant. It takes existing threats and absolutely multiplies their effectiveness.
Now, you might be wondering, why are cybercriminals so obsessed with this? Well, it boils down to 4 really specific, really dangerous reasons. Generative models allow them to launch complex attacks significantly faster, at just a fraction of the traditional cost, and they can scale those attacks globally in milliseconds. But here's the kicker. It allows them to do all of this with a terrifying level of convincing authenticity. This combination isn't just some incremental update to how hackers operate. It completely changes the entire threat landscape forever.
Which brings us to Section 2, perfecting the phishing scam.
For years, we've relied on some pretty basic rules to spot a malicious email. We were all trained to look for the obvious stuff: bad grammar, weird formatting, or phrasing that just felt a little off. Well, AI language models have completely eliminated those traditional red flags. Threat actors are now deploying pixel-perfect, grammatically flawless spear phishing campaigns. These aren't just generic email blasts anymore. They're highly articulate communications that perfectly mimic internal corporate memos. It renders our old methods of detection practically obsolete. And the deception gets even more staggering when you look at the personalization. An AI can now scrape a CEO's entire history of public LinkedIn posts, analyze their interviews, and perfectly mimic their specific tone, their vocabulary, and their unique writing style. It then crafts a hyper-personalized message directed right at a lower-level employee. By weaponizing publicly available online behavior, these models are driving the success rates of social engineering attacks straight through the roof.
All right, moving on to Section 3, cloning voices and faces.
Because the deception goes way beyond just text on a screen. The barrier to creating highly realistic synthetic audio is practically vanished. Get this, it now takes as little as 3 seconds of audio, which they can pull from a recent podcast, a corporate presentation, or even just a quick social media video to create a perfect synthetic clone of someone's voice. Criminals now have the trivial capability to impersonate essentially anyone in your professional or personal network.
Picture this, you're at work and your phone rings. You pick it up and it's your CEO. They sound incredibly stressed out. They're telling you that a massive vendor deal is falling through and they need an urgent payment transfer authorized right this second. The pressure is immense. The voice carries their exact cadence, their subtle breathing patterns, their exact pitch. It is completely authentic, except they aren't on the other end of the line at all. The entire conversation is being generated by a machine.
I need to pause here because this is not some hypothetical scenario from a futuristic sci-fi movie. Multinational corporations have already been tricked into wiring millions of dollars to threat actors using these exact synthetic audio techniques. This technology is out in the wild right now. It's being actively deployed to bypass strict financial controls and steal sensitive data. And the massive success of these operations, it's directly funding even more advanced research on the criminal side.
Now, when you combine that flawless audio capability with real-time deepfake video technology, the psychological manipulation becomes incredibly profound. Humans are biologically hardwired to trust the visual and auditory cues of the people we know. We rely on eye contact. We rely on familiar voices. By deploying fake video calls and synthetic identities, Attackers aren't just bypassing our digital security controls, they are literally hacking our biological hardwiring to exploit our deepest instincts for trust.
Let's look at the bigger picture in Section 4, lowering the hacker barrier.
Beyond just tricking humans, the underlying mechanics of hacking are experiencing a massive shift. We're seeing this brutal new asymmetry in cybersecurity. Defenders, well, they have to be right 100% of the time. But attackers, they now have automated AI-driven swarms looking for a single vulnerability 24/7. These models are generating polymorphic malware that constantly adapts to avoid detection, and they're identifying weak points in network perimeters way faster than human teams can ever patch them.
And the barrier to entry for pulling off these sophisticated operations? It's essentially evaporated. A few years ago, conducting complex network intrusions required deep technical expertise and specialized programming knowledge. Today, AI is granting what we call script kiddies, basically inexperienced hackers with zero coding knowledge, the devastating capabilities of state-sponsored threat groups. Really complex, malicious code can now be generated with a simple, conversational text prompt. No way around it? That's a game changer. When you scale this capability up, it introduces massive societal risks. Think about every major data breach from the past decade. Billions of stolen passwords, scraped behavioral data, biometric markers. All of that acts as rocket fuel for these AI systems. Attackers are feeding this historical data into their models to weaponize it in ways we literally couldn't have imagined even 5 years ago. They are launching coordinated disinformation campaigns designed to exploit human fear and division with terrifying precision.
So, how do we fight back? Section 5, building the human firewall.
First off, it's absolutely crucial to remember that the underlying technology here is completely agnostic to morality. Artificial intelligence is not inherently malicious. It's just a tool. It holds immense promise to revolutionize medical research and, honestly, even empower our own cybersecurity defenses. But powerful tools will always be abused by those looking for an edge. Criminal networks just happen to be incredibly agile early adopters of any technology that dramatically improves their efficiency.
To combat this, our defensive posture has to completely adapt. We're moving into an era where strict continuous verification is just non-negotiable. Organizations absolutely must enforce rigorous multi-factor authentication protocols that can't be easily bypassed by a basic phishing link. But beyond the software, the most critical element of this new defensive arsenal is digital skepticism. When synthetic media can flawlessly mimic reality, an informed, deeply skeptical human becomes the single most formidable barrier against an attack.
We are experiencing a fundamental paradigm shift in how we approach digital safety. Cybersecurity is no longer just an IT problem, isolated to firewalls, endpoint detection, and antivirus software. It has fundamentally evolved into a psychological and behavioral challenge. It requires a deep understanding of exactly how trust is manipulated. Protecting an organization today means evaluating behavior, questioning strange requests, and maintaining a constant state of situational awareness.
Because the truth is, the future of cybercrime looks far more human than it does technical. The attackers aren't just targeting your computer network or your server infrastructure anymore, they are directly targeting your psychology. So ask yourself, how strong is your human firewall? Think about that the next time you get an unexpected, urgent request, even if it comes from a voice you completely trust. Stay skeptical, keep learning, and thanks for joining me for this explainer. See you next time.